is that like that is that's common, right? So I spent from 2012 through now working with pro athletes, and all the really good guys are like that. And it's like, at what point do we think that that might be actually helping them out? That is maybe the reason why they're so good. So like I think about when you said doesn't have the right approach, right? And what did you say? You said something about Jordan, like he does not doing something right or something.
Yeah, like get serious.
Yeah, exactly. Like get it together, to get serious, right? And so like my thought is always, we are as a discipline, as strength and conditioning coaches or whatever, it's, you have to do this, like we want you to become this, certain people have the right approach, right? When I play baseball, certain people have the right approach, right? But is it the right approach? Like that. So like what I'm going to present here is I hope is extremely thought provoking, because this is what I've seen at the highest levels. Like to get to these actual levels, like this is standard. This is what they're like, and so that's what I always thought. And like he mentioned, I never went to the beach. So when I was a kid and I was going to when I was going to basketball camps, I never forget this. Sitting in what ended up being my high school gym, and there was a guy up there. He actually coached at LaSalle Academy right over here downtown, and he would talk about how you have to really want it. You have to try really, really hard. You have to do this. You have to do that. Your friends want you to go to the beach. Nope, can't do it. You gotta work really hard. That's when you're separated, because there's always somebody out there getting better. But it seems to me that the people that are not doing that, the people that are going to the beach, well, not all of them, but like the really great athletes, they went to the beach. They didn't care about working out, right? They didn't. They went to the movies. They didn't go to class. And we're always saying, like, you got to want it. You got to have the right approach. You got to have the right approach. But I'm like, what is the right approach? Because I don't know. I think you're not connecting the dots here. I think you're just saying, this guy would never be, you would be so much better if you were like, have you guys ever seen Rudy? The movie Rudy?
One of the few movies I cry at every single
Oh, it is.
And
it is
my number, 45.
It's basically you, dude. But I remember one of the famous lines in Rudy is that if you had half the drive as Rudiger over here, you would be All-American. Instead, you just went from the first team to the scout team or something like that.
O'Hara, I think.
And I think it was actually and I think, I don't know if you guys know this, but Vince Vaughn was in that movie. I think that movie was
John
talking
Favreau.
about.
Yes.
Yeah, John Favreau. Yeah. Vince Vaughn's like the legendary quarterback, or like the All-American.
No, that was O'Hara.
Yeah.
That was the guy who was the All-American.
It was Vince Vaughn.
That's the guy that had no hair.
Yeah, but so it's like interesting to me that it just is always like that. Like it is always like that. So I'm like, I wonder. In my head, I'm thinking, what? So I always say that I believe that my best asset as a strength and conditioning coach is my objectivity. My ability to step back from a situation and just see it, just see what's going on here, right? And I was taught, just like everybody else, that we want to work hard. I want to, like, if I want to get to where I'm going to, I gotta get after. I gotta work harder than everybody else. And what I think that what happens here is where is it? Maybe so let's go there. So what we're being taught there is for what I'm going to call the work for the man world, right? If you want to have a good job, you want to work, you want to move up in a company, you got to work for the man quote. That's what you do, right? That's what our parents taught us. That's what our coaches taught us. We got to work hard. First one there, last one to leave, all that stuff. That's, in my opinion, that's how you work. That's how you rise in the world of the work for the man world, right? But professional sports is not the work for the man world. Now, I mean, of course, you can make the case of working for the owners, whatever. Like that's, sure, but it's not the same. Those standards don't hold up in professional sports for a number of reasons. Now, of course, you could argue Kobe Bryant. I mean, like the hardest working guy ever,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Like just a freak of just working hard. Tim Tebow. I mean, Tim Tebow. One of the actually best books I've ever read was Tim Tebow's. Like, I don't know if it's an autobiography, but there's like a little biography of Tim Tebow, and I mean, the guy's a savage, right? Like he works. It's just like the stories of him in like the weight room at Florida are insane. Like doing tug of war. I remember one of the things he said was that they do like a tug of war, right? And it's not over. Like it's never over until the other person quits. So it's not like you got to get it past the line. It's when the other person gets up, right? And apparently Tim was going up against some guy on the Florida football team, and he pulled so much and he just kept going that he pulled the guy out of the weight room. Like he just kept pulling this guy like down the hall until the strength coach finally like enough, right? So he's like a hard worker, and one of his famous lines is hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard, right? How motivating. Yo, I'm gonna go home and work harder than everybody else. I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. But look at Tim Tebow. Like,
Where is he going? I mean,
you know,
obviously he's a great career in some sense.
super
but-
handsome, you know, all these things,
Yeah.
but you know, and look, he made it to the NFL.
Yeah.
I mean, he's actually doing a surprise. You Met fan?
Yeah.
What do you think, man? Is he gonna?
He's not bad.
He's not bad. Double A All Star.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not bad. And when I was still working in baseball when he made this transition, and everybody was pissed. They're like, screw this guy. He's taking a job from somebody. Like he's just making a mockery of the sport. And well, in my head, I was like, yeah, I kind of agree. But he's past that to me. He's doing a good job, right? But you know, he wasn't like the elite guy, right? You look at a guy like Michael Jordan. I mean, as elite as it gets, right? And to me, like these guys, these are exceptions to the rule, right? Like these guys are just freaks, right? They're just all around freaks. Like
I would say Tebow was elite in college because it was different.
yeah.
The circumstances were different. What they needed from him was
Yeah.
different. They
And-
didn't translate over to the NFL.
Yeah, and I certainly believe that Tim Tebow is an elite athlete, and I mean, he definitely is. But
So
and maybe he
not
didn't
elite
fizzle
thrower,
out, but
not only thrower,
Right.
which is
Right.
what they needed.
but like these guys are exceptions to the rule. Like I think a lot of people want to argue and they want to look at a Kobe Bryant or a Michael Jordan or Tim Tebow and how to get to that level. But you're looking at it's not a realistic approach, right? Only realistic for a very we hear stories about Michael Jordan, we hear stories about Kobe Bryant, and like their ability to not care, their ability to just be assassins, right? And you know, get buckets in front of 20,000 people, and then we hear stories about when they're outside of the playing surface or court, arena, whatever, and and how this you ever like run into like a famous person and they just do different stuff, right? They're just like funky people, like you ever notice if you ever run into like a famous person or like have a conversation with them, everybody always thinks everything they say is hilarious. Like everyone just laughs at everything they say. I'm serious.
No,
You know what I'm talking about?
Remember we've commented on some of the seminars, how some of the people just laugh at.
Oh yeah,
Like
yeah.
a little too much.
Yeah. Oh yes.
Can't be
Okay.
kind of
Yes.
They're not honest.
Well, yeah. Just like.
They're trying hard to like.
Well, yeah. I think they're just
I'm
like
not that
so
funny.
stoked. Yeah, I think they're just like so stoked to like be in front of this famous person, and like they're just so happy, and like the stupidest joke.
Even if they're not really famous outside of this little community.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah,
Some
yeah.
of these people are only famous inside a very small world.
Yeah.
But to the person who's in that world, they're like a god.
Yeah. 100%. 100%. And like.
That's what I'm talking about more than
Yeah, if you go to some of these seminars like that he's talking about, and you can see the people that sit in the front row, and the laughter that is emanating from these individuals, you're just like, what? Yeah, what was the joke? Did I not hear
It's all in
that?
my head. I was
But that's like so like that. That's what we're getting. That's completely off topic. But anyway, so what I want to state is that when we're talking about like becoming your genetic potential, there's a very fine line that you have to walk from a neurological perspective in order to get to that point. And then if we're going to talk about that neurological line that you have to walk, we have to talk about these two concepts of the neocortex, which is a part of the brain, and allostasis, which is a physiological process, right? So the neocortex is. Anybody know what the neocortex is?
One on top, right?
Yeah. So it's like the skin of the brain. It's like if I were to take the brain and put tin foil around it, that's the neocortex. It's that outer layer, and this is the reason that we're humans and we dominate. That we just own the world. We are on top of the food chain, and it's because we are more intelligent than anybody else because we have the thickest neocortex. Okay, I think dolphins, elephants probably have a pretty thick neocortex, not quite as thick as ours, but that's probably why they're the most intelligent other species. So our neocortex, what it does is it operates exclusively off of memory. Okay, so and all of this starts when we're kids. So when we're born into the world, we're blank slates. We don't have memories, right? So and for the people that have been to these talks before, one of the things I always talk about is every input that you get into your system can be classified one of two ways: safe or dangerous. So. And in order for the way that's going to happen is, so I see who was here last week. I know you. Okay, so remember I was talking about the guy wielding a machete and a chainsaw running in, right? So as a baby has no reaction to that, right? If that guy comes in and feeds him a cupcake, he's going to be like, "Wow, machete good," right? Chainsaw man good. So it's truly a blank slate. But when we're kids, we're going to start creating these neocortical associations with the world. So we see coffee cup, I see bottle, I see mom. That's why we love mom, because mom is taking care of us more so than anybody. We love dad because dad's right there, and we're getting all of this cortical associations that mom is good, she loves me, she's going to help me. Dad is good, dad loves me, he's going to help me. We're developing this as a kid. So. And so if our functions are going to be based on memory, the next step we're going to look at is sympathetic versus parasympathetic, right? So the sympathetic system, fight or flight; parasympathetic, rest and digest. And based on whatever input is coming in, it's going to go into one of those categories. Your body has to respond accordingly. Love the quote. Your input creates your output, right? It's going to if Machete Man walks in here, every one of us is going sympathetic, unless you guys have had weird childhood experiences with a Machete Man, right? So every one of us is most likely going to go sympathetic on that one, and our body's going to react accordingly. What's our body going to do sympathetically if Machete Man walks in?
Heart increases.
Boom.
Your gut, like your organs will react to it.
How so?
Because this is what I heard, like the organs react like to emotion.
Yeah, 100%.
Like you feel like the gut feeling.
Yeah. They shut down the unnecessary processes, right? Like you're not going to have to go. If you got to go to the bathroom, you're not going to have to go to the bathroom anymore because we're all set there. We got to worry about Machete Man not going to the bathroom, right?
Where you may release it.
That's
Which happens.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's why people give themselves or shit themselves in combat.
Yeah, no doubt. So we're going to go in one of those avenues, right? So now, as children, when we're creating what's going to be sympathetic. So hold on. So the other thing that you're going to get from sympathetic upregulation is we're going to get into extension, and with that, right? When we extend, so I'll tell a story here of when I used to work for the Diamondbacks. I used to go play hoops at this place called Mountainside Fitness in Arizona, and I've told this a couple times. So some of you may have heard this, but I would it was just reliving my glory days, right? I used to play hoops in college, so I'm just going out here to beat up on some high school kids and some old guys to just make myself, get my jollies for the day. And I go out there and I play, and I was starting to get into PRI at the time. So I started I would do the all four belly lift, I would do the wall supported reach, and then I would do a 90-90 hip lift. before I played, and it was unbelievable. I mean, unbelievable how much higher I could jump. Just crazy. I'm talking like the highest I've ever jumped in my life after this. And what's happening there is I'm getting into a really good position, right? My diaphragm is now, I got that piston-like action when I'm breathing, when I'm moving. I'm in a good position. My muscles are in the best position for them to function. So now I'm jumping way higher. I've created a great position. Anybody here experienced with TNS? TNS, dynamic neuromuscular stabilization. Okay. Anybody?
A little bit from Charlie.
Okay, for sure. So, and Charlie's huge. He talks all about joint centration.
Yeah.
I hear that all the time out of him.
The only one I heard is PNS.
What's that?
That you would is isometric.
Okay.
And that you would relax and hold.
Oh, PNF.
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 There.
Yeah,
That's
PNF.
the only one I heard,
Yep.
but not that one.
The joint centration is a big deal in DNS. So next week when Mark comes in to talk about DNS, he's going to talk a lot about the position of the body, the joints, and it's really interesting because he was briefing me on the presentation this week, and it was like just PRI in different words. It was so fascinating.
That's the funny part. So Charlie fucking hates PRI.
Right.
But the principles of DNS.
Yeah, I was really surprised by that. I don't know why he dislikes it like that. I don't know, whatever. But anywho, that's what DNS is. We're talking about just improving your position, like getting into a position where your body is in the best position to function. If I get sympathetic and I go into extension, isn't it fair to say that my position is going to change globally?
Yeah.
Right? It is pretty fair to say, one of the things I was working on this week was talking about how everything is really connected. And like when I say everything is connected, I mean freaking everything. Like it's so hard to, when I first become a personal trainer, I get my certificate, I'm doing it, and then I hear somebody at the gym say everything's connected. I'm like, yeah, everything's connected, right? It's like the hip bone's connected to the knee bone, and like, what if I stretch my hamstring? What was the one? We got this one a lot in school. We roll the lacrosse ball out on our feet, and all of a sudden I can touch my toes, right? Like, whoa, everything's connected. And that is just such an underwhelming concept. Like the interconnectivity of everything is so dramatic and so global and so insane. But literally just saying everything is connected is just like, it just flat out doesn't do it justice. I mean, it really is all connected. So when I extend my back, I mean, PRI talks about it, I'm sure DNS talks about it a lot. I extend my back, and all of a sudden, all these different things have happened to my world, right? And one of the things PRI talks about is how, AF, right? So my acetabulum moves on my femur, which produces that internal rotation. But my femur also just externally rotated, and so on and so forth, down and up the chain, right? If you look, if this is, I'm for some reason I'm like into this concept right now. Looking at your phone a lot and like being in that forward head posture. I always, when I'm Netflixing, I lay on my bed and I have like 2 pillows, and I'm like on my back and I'm like looking at the TV that way. Were you with me on that? I feel like I'm looking down, but I'm like, oh, this is pretty good, like that, right? So literally, like if I just uprighted myself, I'm like this, right? And what happens in that scenario is that I am now extending at my spine. I am getting a little bit of an anterior tilt in my pelvis, and then I'm just getting all this. I'm getting closing off the foramen magnum here, which is closing off the flow, which is could produce some allergy type sensations. And we've created a whole chain of things. So when I am extended, that is the same thing as the extension of the anterior tilt of the pelvis, however slight you want to call it. Then it's just going to work its way up and probably going to do something similar to a forward head posture and closing off that hole and producing that flow change. And what that's done is it's taken me out of my position. Fair to say? So when I'm in extension, like I am in that pattern, sympathetically driven, I am not at my best. Is that Is that everybody good with that? I'm just not in a good position to hit my genetic maximum, right? I can't get all the way to the top. So now we move over to what allostasis is. Anybody here know what allostasis is? Okay, so allostasis, if you guys don't know it, you have to read this book. It's called Allostasis, Homeostasis, and the Cost of Physiological Adaptation. I want to say the writer of it is Jay Shulkin, Schulkin. If you just go on to Amazon and type in allostasis, it is allostasis, homeostasis, and the cost of physiological adaptation. Neil, have you read that?
I've not.
Okay, so that book is badass. It is a grind to read. It is like, I did a lot of dictionary.com. I did not know a lot of those words. And it took like the first few chapters, like getting some of those words down was tough. And remember, I'm a journalism degree, so a lot of these words were brand new to me. That may not be brand new to you guys. But like the concept of allostasis is awesome, right? So I think we were talking about this last week, and I think it was last week where I talk about if you're we had the guy here from Columbia last week, and I said if you got a professor, and he's one of those professors who's always going to call on you, right? And he's a guy who will just wait for you to answer, and he'll like randomly call on you, right? Like I was always in class, I was always the guy who like didn't want to get called on, like I'll hide in the back, don't call on me. And like some teachers would always just find me. It's just like, screw you, man. Like, come on, like you're just embarrassing me here. And so like as that teacher is he asks a question that you don't know the answer to, and he's like looking out, and you're like, oh God, I hope he doesn't call on me. And then he starts looking over at you, and then you're like, oh God, he's gonna call on me, right? And homeostasis, the OG of physiological regulation, says that once the set point changes, then we will respond. But you're getting nervous right there because you don't know the answer or whatever. You don't want to be called on, you don't like public speaking, whatever it is. But your heart rate starts going a little bit, everything starts going. But no set point has changed. So like homeostasis, how does that work? Like how can you explain that under the homeostatic model? You can't. You go to allostasis, and allostasis is unfolding itself off of the neocortex. It is unfolding itself physiologically and reacting based on your memory. So I know that this teacher does that. I remember every time that the teacher did that. And I hate it. I can't stand this guy. And it's an emotional response. And emotion cements a memory better than anything. So if you have an emotional reaction, like
negative emotions.
Yeah. So when I don't know how old I was, but I talk about my migraines a lot. I once got a migraine when I was a kid. I just like terrible migraines. And that day, I had 10 Wendy's chicken nuggets, and I wore an Abercrombie & Fitch hat, a new one. My dad said he got it for me because he said that the quarterback at West Virginia, was my favorite school ever, he would wear this hat. Mark Bulger. Anybody? Mark Bulger? They said he would wear this hat, so my dad got it. I was like, oh, cool. I'm like Mark Bulger, you know? And I'm going to be in the NFL. Mom wouldn't even let me play football, but so I got this hat. I ate 10 Wendy's chicken nuggets, washed it down with a nice cold Coca-Cola, right? Threw it up everywhere. Just absolutely gross, brutal migraine. To this day, cannot eat a Wendy's chicken nugget, cannot sip Coca-Cola, cannot wear that Abercrombie & Fitch hat. Because every time I do, I'm like, oh shit, here it comes, right? But the Wendy's spicy chicken filet, bring it on, baby. Because it's not a chicken nugget, and I'm always like, it's the same thing, you idiot. But I can eat that, but I can't eat the chicken nugget. And it's that, like that emotional response from that day was so strong. I hated it so much. And the body does that. The body will give you those strong reactions like nausea and stuff like that to further cement these really bad things. So you remember not to do whatever it is that you're currently doing. So I can't eat Wendy's. I can't wear Abercrombie pitch hats, and I can't drink Coca-Cola because I feel like I'm going to throw up. And that's because allostatically, like if somebody, let's concoct a scenario here, right? Where I would be really like socially obligated to eat some chicken nuggets, right? Let's just say it was my birthday. This is a completely random scenario. Let's say it was my birthday, and for some reason my mom comes in here right now, and she's like, "Happy birthday, Sean! I got everybody Wendy's chicken nuggets. Sean, you got the first nugget." And like now I'm like, "Oh man, Mom, what, you got to do this in front of everybody? Like I can't eat a nugget. I feel bad. Like I got to eat a nugget. Like I'm gonna have a huge response to that, right?"
Yeah.
So everything from an allostatic standpoint is going to remember based off whatever was programmed from your reactions in the neocortex, and it is just going to unfold and produce a response based on all of that. So we go into now we move into the fact that there's a time under tension model involved here, right? So the more time I think it was last week we talked about carrying your groceries. Was this last week? And we said that if you're like me, you're going one trip from the car to the house to the kitchen, one trip. You're taking all the groceries. I mean, I never feel stronger than when I got all my groceries in my hands, right? And like literally, like my mom's like, "Can you help me with the groceries?" And I'm like, "Yeah, just load them all up on my arm and bring them in." And then I go in and then I pick up my coffee, and all of a sudden my coffee feels really light, right? Or say I'm hiking in the wilderness for 6 hours, walking the trails, and I got a big old backpack on, and then I get to a campsite after 6 hours of hiking, and all of a sudden I take that backpack off, it feels great, and I feel like I'm lighter than ever. And that lasts for 45 minutes because I had it on for 6 hours. A lot of time was spent under that tension. But now, how much time under tension have you spent under whatever particular sympathetic input is coming in? So how long have I been wearing that proverbial backpack? How long will it take? How long of that effect, that weightlessness effect, will I still be, walking around every day feeling as if I'm lighter than air? So now that's like a nice reaction to it, but what if it's a bad reaction? So what if let's see here. So what if my first time ever playing basketball, I go out onto the court and I'm in kindergarten and just some dad is like booing me, right? Some random dad just booing me. The kids on the other team just booing me. And I'm just a kid, I can't handle that, right? This is the first experience I ever had playing basketball. Now, every time, I may dislike the sport forever now.
That's
Right? I may hate that sport. And because the dad booed me, I never wanted to go back. But say my dad is like, "Screw that guy, like you can play, like, he's never coming back, he got banned," right? So I'm like, "Okay, fine, Dad, I'll play." So I go out and play again, I get pretty good, right? And then I get to a competitive spot in a game, and some guy just stands up and starts booing me again. And then all that comes back. And now I have this sympathetic reaction. I have my joint centration changes, and now I can no longer operate the way that I usually can because of that. So now we start thinking about like, what inputs are changing people's like current state. And when we talk PRI, the sympathetics of everything, the things that make people extended neurologically, are as much necessarily changed as their need to get hamstrings or something like that. And it's just, when we think about all these things, the more, as you're a kid, you're just treading a fine line of what you have as a parent, you have no idea. You have no idea which buttons to press, what not. Like how am I going to make sure that this kid does not, can grow up and be a confident kid and confident guy, and then you grow into a confident adult. Like you just don't know the buttons to press, right? You're really walking, you're really hoping for the best, and then you're trusting them to a coach, and then the coach is going to press a lot of those buttons. He's going to create a lot of those cortical associations that are in the brain, and then now that kindergarten coach is insanely irresponsible for creating a professional athlete, right? how you as a parent tell your son or your daughter to respond to, like, so maybe you're like, hey, by the way, little Johnny, your coach is an idiot, don't listen to him, right? And then Johnny listens to you, and then now that coach doesn't have as much of a sway. But if you're like, you have to listen to the coach, you have to do the right things, right? All that stuff that we're taught as a kid, we got to work hard and do this and be the coach's pet, coach's best friend. Now that coach turns out he's an idiot, doing, trying to do all this crazy stuff, and it's not helpful at all. And now he's, the kid has gone down the wrong path. So as a child, you're really walking a tight line of how, what can I do to create somebody at the genetic ceiling. So it doesn't even have to be the elite athlete. The same stuff has to go all the way up to being your genetic potential, right? It's not just necessarily NBA players. What do we got here? Questions, comments, concerns?
Well, just what you were saying. I had so many things came into my mind as you were talking. Someone boos you, and it disturbs you, it upsets you,
right?
And it's stored as
right.
a memory. This just happens in normal life.
Yep.
And this is the fascinating thing about all humans, basically, until you realize where it comes from and understand what's going on. If you have low self-esteem or you're doubting yourself about something, it's because someone either said something to you or you thought they were saying something, and that's how you interpreted it. And now, because that person said something, you now are feeling down about yourself one way or another, like you're limited in some sense. So I had a math teacher, I got a 0 on a math test, 6th grade. Couldn't do word problems. I was never good at math. I couldn't do word problems for the life of me. I still can't. I got a 0. And I knew I did badly. So the teacher, for some reason, tells a story about a play called The Perfect Idiot. And this is a person who couldn't do anything really well. So this person decided to do everything really badly, like perfectly bad, and get everything wrong. She goes, well, we have a perfect idiot in our class. I don't know why she did that. Mrs. Ellsworth, I know you're not alive anymore, so it's not good.
Screw you, Ellsworth.
But I mean, the feeling that came up in my body, and you can feel things, right? That's why feeling is pretty much, I go by feeling way more than intellectual conscious mind, because I thought that was where it was at for a long time in my life, and I realized that leads you astray all the time, because you don't really know, and I'm not going to talk about this, you don't really know what the reality is, but you feel things. And when she said that, it was just mortifying. And I think because most people knew I was the worst math student in the class, so everyone knows it was me. And I get maybe she was, I don't know if it was some weird way she was trying to make it less bad in a sense. I still don't, to this day I don't know. But of course I was the perfect idiot. And from there my confidence in math just absolutely plummeted to, honestly I don't really care at this point in time, because I just don't care about math all that much. But and I really never did really need to use it, besides tipping at for a restaurant check. But I'll never forget that. 6th grade, Mrs. Ellsworth. I'll never forget. Well, we have a perfect idiot in our class. I knew it was me. I didn't even have to get the paper back to know it was me. I knew it was me. I knew everyone knew it was me. And it was just the most horrifying thing. And when you feel that for the first time, it then scares you from attempting to do anything. And you just, the anxiety that you get over some situations, and you may forget about it, and then later in life it comes back, and you're like, why is this affecting me so much?
I think that's I think that's a really nice segue into the anxiety part of it. So let's answer this question here. What would you guys do in front of 20,000 people? If you what's your sport, Neil? What's your sport?
My best. Well, this is the fascinating thing. I was good at basketball.
Okay. I
was a great playground player because there was no pressure.
Sure. Same.
People were watching, but no one was watching.
Right.
There was no pressure, and I wasn't great in structured offense.
Sure.
I was way more freewheeling, and I was the type of person who didn't want to mess up.
Sure.
I just hated getting yelled at. I didn't like criticism, because I personalized everything out the wazoo. That's just my personality, and I've let a lot of that go. But on the playground, there was no pressure. Who cares?
Right.
You want to win, but so I was really good in that situation, and that was my best sport. but put me in an organized game as a point guard.
Right.
I became way too overconscious of myself and I couldn't perform. In football, however, I had a helmet on, never got nervous
Really?
because I was anonymous. Never got, I would catch anything. I had great skill, I wasn't big enough, but I had great skills, great blocker. Coach said I had skills that you couldn't even teach in
Hell
terms of,
yeah.
I just had instinct.
Sure.
But I just didn't have the physical
Sure.
body for it. But never got nervous. Put in a big situation, throw me the freaking ball.
Right.
Not nervous whatsoever. Had a helmet on, invisible. But put me as a point guard, bringing up the ball in a big spot, I can become way too aware of myself.
Right.
Put me in a 20,000 people shooting a foul shot, I am in awe that someone in a national championship
Oh my
game
God.
with 3 seconds left can hit.
Yeah.
You're not in the flow of the game. Everyone is staring at you,
Right.
and these guys,
Right.
Like I get it if you're in the flow of the game, the ball comes to you and you take the shot because
Yeah.
it's not thinking at that point.
Yeah.
But you have people are calling timeouts
Yeah.
to ice you.
Yeah. The kickers? How the hell does a
do they
kicker
do that? I don't-
make it after being
People
iced?
do not realize how hard that is.
Yep. Yep. Like that kicker from Chicago who just got crushed for missing
I
that.
felt so bad.
Oh my
I
God.
mean, in front of 20,000 people, I could not.
So what do you guys think? What would you guys do in front of 20,000 people? For whatever sport, whatever your sport is, dance. So you did Broadway, right? So how was that? Did you get nervous?
Yeah, I did a tour where I covered 10 different slots.
Okay.
Parts.
Okay.
Mostly dancing. And
So you had to learn all those different
yeah,
parts.
and I had a
That's a lot.
Bible, and it could be in the middle of a show. You're on for this person, and they each had probably 8 costume changes and facial makeup.
Okay.
This is Mary Poppins. Yeah, but that was my big break, and I'm like, well, I'll fucking do it.
Yeah.
Always in panic mode. And I would tell people, I'm like, they're trying to help me, I'm like, you helping me? I shut the fuck up. I didn't say that, but I'm just like, I don't
Sure.
need you to talk to me, I need you to leave me alone,
Sure.
because I need the quiet, the focus to look at my Bible and not ruin the show. I was always in panic mode.
Yeah.
The Bible?
It's like a swing Bible, and they call it like swing nightmares. Like
Sure.
you'll be sleeping, but you'll be going through a track in your head. But it was great. Like if I knew I was doing one part for a week and a half, no drama, because I knew what I was
Right.
doing.
Right.
But yeah, I did feel more comfort in being in a group number versus being in a solo.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
But I could deliver.
Your safety.
But my comfort is being on the girl on the side.
Yeah.
But when they wanted me to go in the front, I'd do it. But it was
Right.
like
So
pulling teeth.
If people, I heard this, someone's like, oh, if you were in a band, what instrument do you want to play? Drums. Why? You're in the back. My friend used to laugh so hard that, because at one point I wanted to be a college football coach, not a college coach, but a football coach. And but I was like, I just be assistant coach because I don't want to be the lead guy.
But you know what?
Because I don't want to be the head coach.
For some reason, when I would audition, I wanted the damn job. So I would rise to it. I kind of got off on it.
Yeah.
Even though I was nervous, I'm like, no, bitch. It's like because I grew up in sports.
Sure.
Yes, I'm an artist, but I'm like, no, I'm going to fucking do this.
Hell
I'm
yeah.
gonna do it.
what do you got?
My big thing was like, so baseball was my sport.
Okay.
I played basketball as well. So for me, the expectation from like social proofing was that I was always going to excel at baseball.
Right.
So I would always kind of get over aroused in that situation.
Yeah.
Where I had these expectations that I was going to excel in whatever playoff game, or I played like freshman year of college, the College World Series for D3.
Right.
I was like, shit. Basketball, I didn't really care.
Right.
Like I was decent at basketball. Like I played varsity and sit around a little bit.
Yeah.
But like down by 1-2 free throws, no problem, because there wasn't this huge
Yeah.
expectation that everyone else had out of me there. So I think that was the biggest thing for me. And like even when you look at athletes, why some are good in clutch situations and not, it comes down to like optimal arousal levels.
Right.
And are you over or under aroused?
100%, man.
And a lot of it's like, can you deal with it? And most good athletes, they're just like, they're in that flow state.
Let's see if we're gonna get there. I love it. I love it. What do you got?
Well,
Baseball player.
Yeah. Well, in front of 20,000 people, correct? So
Baseball is 40, 50,000.
yeah, especially if you play infield, but mostly like as you're hitting, that's like the most difficult. Like let's say like it was like a very good guy throwing, and you would just feel this pressure, and then like as he's like winding up, like you're not really so sure that you could be, because you know successful in that game is 1 out of 3 out of 10 actually.
Yeah.
So then like you feel, well, me personally, I used to feel some certain pressure as I was playing, but then, you know, like, just forget about it, you know, just swing the bat, because that's what you essentially have to do. But normally, like, there is pressure. For me, personally, playing in the infield is something very tough. So that's why I played outfield, so I could take the pressure away from me and hold my arm. So, like, you know, I made up for it. And then like, just being in the game and just, like, don't make a fool out of yourself. Because, like, you know, like, you could line out and somebody, if you're on first base, and then, like, you line, then the batter lines out, and then, like, you just froze, and then, like, you just get doubled off. And then, like, cause, like, the scenario of it is what like, it puts you, like, in a state of, like, paralysis or something.
Yeah.
So,
Paralysis by analysis.
yeah.
Absolutely.
So, like, baseball was like that for the majority of the time.
Yeah.
Especially when it got harder.
100%. Issa, tell us about it, man.
I think you need to develop mental toughness, especially if you want to, like, perform to the best of your capabilities in front of 20,000 people. I played basketball, so at times, you know, when I noticed that I was, like, nervous, you know, and I would, you know, you wouldn't be thinking straight because you just go in there and you have all this, like, all people watching you. You just, like, you know, you go in there and you try to do the best that you can. And I think from a neurological standpoint, you need to just, like, I guess, stay focused and just, you know, and just calm your nerves down a little bit, because you know, it depends on the person. I mean, obviously, I mean, some people are just, like, you know, they're chilled with it and they're cool and whatever, and
Right.
they're able to, like, deal with it, you know, or whatever, and the pressure of people watching. And you have other people that, you know, just freak out, and, you know, they can't handle, like, everybody watching, so they don't want to mess up, or they don't want to, you know, go through, like, you know, a turnover or something like that, or, you know, or they mess up on a play, or they forget a play. I think, you know, mental toughness, honestly, is probably the key for, you know, to perform at a high level at, you know, when, you know, you have a lot of people watching you. So
I mean, I completely agree with that. I think.
And breathing.
Yeah.
breathing too, yes, absolutely.
So what's interesting about it is that we talk about basically, we've all spoken to some degree about anxiety, right? And anxiety, like performance anxiety, and, like, getting out there and just being, like, anxious in front of people. I mean, I certainly remember I played college basketball at Quinnipiac University. Has everybody in this room even heard of Quinnipiac University? Okay. So it's Division I. How about that? And like, we would play. Our coach would always go like this. I hope one of my coaches is watching right now. He would always go, like, we would play, like, Fairleigh Dickinson, and here in Jersey, fairly ridiculous. And I mean, to this day, I think they probably have the worst Division I facilities on the planet.
Yeah.
And our coach, if we were, like, playing bad, he'd be in the locker room, and he goes, "What is it, guys? Is it this daunting crowd that's getting you guys all nervous and rattled?" And there'd be, like, 12 people in the stands, you know. And but, like, it was so crazy. Like, I would if I went out there, I'm rattled, I'm nervous. Like, I'm a good shooter, right? But you put me out there, and, like, we like, yeah, guys, like, get on you for shooting and missing and stuff, and like, it just gets in your head, it gets you domed up, and, like, you just have that level of anxiety. But what's interesting is all of the best athletes that we talked about are like, I don't care. Spacey, a bad approach, right? Bad grades, dropping out of Fs.
Unconscious.
Yeah,
like
like,
the shooters.
yeah,
Well, shoot, they just keep shooting.
yeah.
Like,
Like, I don't care.
I would work, to me, if I miss 2 shots in a row,
Yeah,
like,
done.
I
Never.
shouldn't take
Yeah,
any shots because
yeah.
I don't want anyone to think
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
even though what I should have done was
Yeah.
keep shooting.
And-
That was a really good
right.
shot.
Keep shooting.
But once I miss 2, it's like, oh, you're going to be ball, you know, you're
Yeah.
a ball hog. And,
Yeah.
You know, obviously you're not doing what you, so you don't dish it off.
So the answer there is if you truly care about being better, care less, right? Which is tough to do, right? That's how do you do that, right? So what's really interesting is as trainers and strength and conditioning coaches, we're all trying to get them to care more, right?
So then it becomes more emotional.
Yeah. That's a great point. I always said that I created in my head, I made basketball such a big deal. When I'm talking about blowing out my birthday candles and always wishing for the NBA and working out in my backyard, literally hours every single day in the summer. I wanted the NBA so bad that it became such a big deal in my head that I put so much pressure on myself to do well that I was just far too driven about it, and like I didn't have that. I wasn't the rare Kobe Bryant exception that could get over that hump, right? There's how many people in the history of the planet can actually get over that hump, and that's the stuff that I find so interesting. So you say these guys just didn't have the right approach. I say they had the right approach. I say the strength coach or the coach had the wrong approach, because he's trying to take that away from him, which is maybe the most valuable part of performance. Anybody, I can get anybody to find their hamstrings, right? I cannot get anybody to make a free throw in front of 20,000 people. I can't do that. And as an industry, we're always trying to be the drill sergeant. Should you be a drill sergeant in the weight room? You know, the personal trainer MO and the strength and conditioning coaches in college, and you know, we always think about the guy with the whistle and everyone doing up downs, and the workouts are grueling and tough, right? Why is that really the answer? And what's interesting is, aren't the people that are really good always the slackers in those drills? Aren't those the guys that are always just like, the coach is always pulling their teeth? I want you to play harder, just play harder, give me more. But these are the guys that are killing it. So what is the answer? How do you cultivate an elite athlete? How do you cultivate somebody to get to the top? Yeah, first of all, you need to not be aroused by what arouses a normal person. And how can you do that? And I think that's really tough, because there's, you know, the last bullet point on there is you have to consider everything, if you are truly aiming for the genetic max. We were talking about, I was doing a presentation this week about powerlifters, and we talked about how you know, if I'm trying to get like a guy who's the world's strongest man, I found a picture of a guy squatting like 1,500 pounds or something like that, right? And that guy's going to be, you know, we want to talk what PRI would do to that guy. It would do nothing, right? He's just going to be so extended, so much tone. He can't get it. He can't get those ribs down. He's going to be sympathetic until he stops doing that, and stops it for years, right?
He couldn't He's too. Your lats.
Yeah, and so like for that guy. Like, and then you have to think about what that guy's home life is like. You ever watch one of those strongman documentaries? The guys who are like competing to be like the Arnold champion. Yeah. They always talk about how they don't have a lot of money, and you know, they're living in like somebody's basement. And what you have to consider as the trainer there is that you're not going to get them sympathetic, and the only way, like, they have to do this like crazy training. That's right. I'm sorry. They have to do this crazy training, and your window, like, where's your window to intervene? You have to be able to you have to find a way to control what's happening outside of that to get as much recovery as you can, because you're going to be super limited because they're so sympathetic. All of their inputs are sympathetic, and so now it's like controlling, you know, what their home life is like. You know, are they go to the gym and they put so much stress on their body? Well, are they still stressing their body when they go home? Is their wife giving them a hard time? Is their house a mess? Is their kids a slob? Do they not have good food? Do they have to cook? The taking as much stress out of their system as you can humanly possibly do. That is what's going to help that person recover. And understanding all of this as a whole is what we're really talking about when we're talking about getting to somebody's genetic maximum. So when I had guys, when I worked in the NBA and when I worked in professional baseball, when I had a guy who like hated it, right? I would say in my career with teams, so that was 6 years with teams, I can remember one guy who was like uber successful and worked hard in baseball. like a driven hard worker, like the people that we were like us, right? Like somebody that had our work ethic and made it, right? He's an MLB All-Star, Mitch Haniger for the Seattle Mariners, right? He was one of like truly driven, focused guys, right? You know, we had plenty of hard workers, the guys that would come in and do what they're asked, but the majority, and in the NBA, I would say one guy who was like coming in and like getting extra work, and like these, you know, those are in 6 years, that was two of them, right? And I had plenty of guys. I have 20, 30 plus guys in the big leagues right now, and all of those guys are just like go with the flow type guys, and everyone's going to say like, man, he got lucky, he doesn't even work that hard. And like, he got lucky because he's got a great mindset, right? And he's built, he's a freak athlete. Like he has all of the tools, right? And when we think of like all of the talent and all of the tools, you lose it all if you don't have the mindset. Doesn't matter what you can do if you don't have the mind. Absolute, you could be an absolute freakazoid athlete, but if you're an anxious person who's anxious, standing on the free throw line in front of 20,000, can't use any of it. Completely irrelevant. So we're talking about like, so when guys, I remember I always had this one guy. I'm not gonna do any names because we're live on the internet. But I always had this one guy. He just never lifted. He was a baseball guy, just would never lift. Just couldn't get him to lift. And in my head, it's like, I need him to lift. Like there's certain things from a weight room standpoint I gotta protect him up, right? I gotta shore up his shoulder. Maybe he's throwing a lot. I gotta shore him up. So I need to do a lot of like eccentric strengthening, rotator cuff, decelerator, stuff like that. Want to get his core, swing. I need to get his core. You need to get him in there, right? I need to give him some resiliency. I gotta get him in there, but I can't get on him about it because I can't get him. I don't want him to think that he hates being in the weight room because he obviously already does hate it, and I don't want to make that a worse environment for him. We've talked about that on a number of occasions, and I don't want to take away that I don't give a shit attitude because that's what makes him great. It's that ability to. He was an infielder, right? And he could turn to. I mean, he was a wizard on the infield, man. A wizard. I mean, the freaking way he would turn like that, man. Just freaking turn to like that. I mean, I can't even imagine. And like he would be the guy who would like backhand it and like throw it over his shoulder to the second baseman out of his glove. And it's just like how do you do that, man? I couldn't do it because I'm like manufacturing it. You talk about like manufacturing dance. Like I'm the person who's just like gonk, hits, like throws it down because I'm like in my head about it. But so I'm sitting there, I'm like, how do I do this? Like I need to get this out of him. What's more important? How can I navigate that situation? I would take masking tape, and I'd make a joke out of it, and I would draw arrows. I would start at when he would leave. I would go to his locker and his stool, and I would take masking tape and make arrows on the ground that would lead him to the weight room. Like I'd put like bags of chips along the way and just like lead him into the weight room, right? Because I want him to be like, yeah, you're crazy, man. Oh my God. All right, let's lift, man. Fine. You got me, right? And like I'm trying to keep him that I don't care attitude when he comes into the weight room and he's doing a gobble squat and he does 8 reps instead of the scheduled 10. Am I on his ass? No, I don't. I want him to not care. I need him to not care because what I think is really important is that in our world, we're training for performance, right? I'm not chasing weight room numbers. I'm not trying to justify my job with you can bench so much more than you used to be able to bench. I'm justifying that you still are on the field. You're playing up to your potential. You're moving up in the ranks. He's in the big leagues, right? And it's 100% because of me, you know, right? I'm a cog in the wheel. I helped him along the way, but like that mindset. Like I think you have to understand that if you're working with athletes or anybody who's just trying, that's their goal to get to their genetic maximum. I mean, anybody who's trying to get stronger. If you want to get that guy who squat 1,500 pounds stronger, you better be thinking about this because you have to split so many hairs You have to. That's the only. It's going to take a grand effort to get the smallest gain in somebody who's already that strong, right? Everybody plateaus. You know, I'm personally, I can bench press right now. If I maxed out, I probably go like 205, right? And that's been my max since college. And in order for me to get to 210, I know, guy, come on, I'm lean mean. Come on, man. How much can you bench?
IFC bench press champion, 1998.
How much?
It was only 275, but it was at 160 something, and with a full 1 second pause.
Wow.
Bouncing.
All right. Well, I suck. But anyway, so that's all I got. So in order for me
And I
to
have short arms, so it helped. I didn't have to push as far.
dude, don't put you got it, man. You got long arms.
No, I don't have long arms.
But in order for me to get to 210 to 215, it's a grand effort. Like it's a massive. I got to worry about my soft tissue quality. I got to worry about my recovery. I got to worry about what I'm doing outside of the gym. I got to worry about my warm ups and what accessory lifts are. And I don't personally, I don't care enough. Couldn't care less how much I bench, right? So like it doesn't matter to me. But for these people, like if I'm in an NBA weight room, and I have the best athletes on the planet, they're already at what human beings. What human freaking beings? They're at they're right at the surface, the tip of as good as you can as athletic as you can possibly be. How am I supposed to get a performance adaptation? How am I supposed to do my job? Right? I have to look at that because I have to understand that in order for me to get a small difference, I have to do a huge effort. I need to be able to understand that like these guys. Was it last week? I think we mentioned talking about how NBA guys and pro athletes, they just spend all their money.
Yeah.
Like that counts. That's part of the deal. This is who they are. There's no on and off switch. Like the fact that you're such an idiot. Why would you spend all your money? Like are you that dumb? Like how many NBA guys have? It was like Antoine Walker, just is like he spent like $100 million and he's like completely broke. There was I think Vin Baker was working at Starbucks at one point. He's an NBA All-Star, and like what you have to understand is that like they don't have that care. They don't have that. And what we've always taught somebody, what do you got?
One of my pet peeves is how athletes get criticized for so many things, simply because they're rich and famous and have a lot of money.
Yeah.
So these guys are idiots for making bad investments. But a Wall Street guy who trades nonstop and loses all his money, it's a badge of honor. Then you just recover.
Right.
But no one's ever like, oh, stupid Wall Street traders.
Right.
I mean, some people might think that, but among them, it's just hard life.
Right.
Like, that's what they do. But if they lose all their money, they're not the idiot. Like,
right.
We don't look at them like an athlete who loses all their money. And why is that? What's the difference? Someone who trades stocks anyway, it's gambling. You don't know where the market's going to go. You're a professional gambler in a sense. You're probably a very intelligent gambler in a sense, but there's nothing to say you're not going to lose all your money. The world is built on people who are losing their money.
Right.
Because then someone else takes it. That's how the market works. Right. So, but we don't look at them the same way. It's like these college kids who smoke pot and get suspended, but the same people who are criticizing them are the same kids I know used to smoke pot.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You did the same shit. They're 19, 20. Like,
yeah.
They're not thinking, and their brain's not even developed.
Yeah.
And you did the same thing as a kid. You're just not famous, so you're probably angry.
You guys ever seen the show? Have you guys seen the show Last Chance U?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so it's on. So it's on Netflix. I recommend watching it if you haven't seen it. And what it's about is these kids who it's about these guys who played major Division I football, and they go to a community college. So the first one is East Mississippi Community College, in this random Mississippi town, and the second one is Independence, Kansas. And it's these elite athletes in this town. And so I'm on the one with they're in Kansas, and the coach is cusses them out. He's nice, absolute lunatic, right? And he's trying to get these guys to care. And he's trying to get these guys to go to class and get better grades.
You gotta
right?
watch this.
And
if you want to know exactly what he's talking about, talk about people
who could not care less, right? And these guys who played at quarterback at Florida State, receiver at Texas Tech, and they have made no changes, and it's a constant struggle to get them to show up to class. They're
they care about
you just watch it the whole time. You're like, dude, just go to class, man. Go. And the whole time I sit there watching it, and it's like, to me, I'm like watching this neurological experiment, because I'm looking at these guys and I'm like, it is the same. It's the eternal struggle. The great athletes suck in school. The great athletes don't go to class. They don't have the anxiety. We go to class. We have the anxiety. We can't do anything in front of 20,000 people. They'll do whatever the hell you want. What do you want me to do? I always found it really astonishing. When in the NBA, they would do, like, every once in a while, like, one of the guys would get on the mic and in front of all of the Staples Center, and they would just, like, say something. It'd be like, yeah, it's Christmas. We play Christmas. Lakers always playing Christmas. So for Christmas, one of the guys gets on the mic. He's like, just want to say Merry Christmas to everybody. And, like, these are NBA guys, and I was always astonished. I'm always like, they would just be like, yo, what's going on, everybody? And I'm like, damn, like, if I got that mic, I'd be like, hello, everybody. My name is Sean Light. And I'd be nervous, I'd be rattled. And these guys, I mean, it just goes from where do you want me? Where do you want me? I'm not rattling. They're just having a conversation. They're pacing up and down the court, like having a conversation with the guy in front row. And it's like, damn, like that's crazy. Like, that's your mind. So Last Chance U is just, like, filled with these guys. It's just all of them are just, it's just what do you got?
Well, so to me, that goes back to the idea that we have a very biased sense of what education or intelligence is. Athletic intelligence is real.
Yeah.
Like, so if you want to classify it into, like, 8 different levels, there's people who are really good at math, science, languages, all these different things. But it's all biased to a Western sense of what is intelligence and what's important. There's a Jared Diamond who wrote Germs, Guns, and Steel, said because I think, it was one of a book, something like that. He had worked in Papua New Guinea with, I don't even know what technically they're called, but the natives who live there. He said that take a native of Papua New Guinea, put him in the Western world, he'll be fine. He'll learn computers, he'll learn everything. Take an American, put him in Papua New Guinea, he's dead in a week. So what's intelligent? We just have a very bias towards. We have a biased sense of, well, intelligence is what gets you to a good job, blah, blah, good college, good job. That's not the only type of intelligence. There's tons of intelligence. And that's what emotional intelligence. You have these guys who are insanely, the naturals with girls, or the naturals who they have an intelligence that I don't have. Like, I'm trying to develop it in a lot of ways, and I've worked hard so I can actually, do things more socially and not freeze, basically, because I'm not good in front of large groups. I'm good with 10, put 20 in the room, I'm starting to sit back a little less and talk a little less, put 40, I'm not going to say a word, put loud music on, you will think I'm a mute. So it's all situational, and so we have this bias of what is intelligent and what's valued, what type of intelligence is actually valued. And generally, if that's the type of intelligence that can get you a good job and pay you a lot of money, that's technically what we value, because we have this idea of, well, that's what success is. But you see a lot of people in New York who are financially successful and are freaking miserable. So how is that success? So that's the thing about what is intelligence. It's not just one way, because we just have a biased way of looking at everything, because that's how we've been conditioned to think. But not everyone around the world is like pushing Western values on other countries, not to get political about anything, but not everyone wants what we have in the United States.
Right.
You have to realize that, but we keep forgetting that.
Yeah, I think
I don't even know what I want what we have in the United States.
it's a really good point. I think that's where just the objectivity of everything and being able to, like, see what's really going on. And I don't think it's any secret that a lot of professional athletes, or athletes that fizzle out, end up back on the streets, or not being successful in real life. And and I think it's because of this. It's who they are. In order to, I always say that I think if you really want to expose somebody, like, see what kind of person they are, put them on, like, a pitcher's mound in front of 50,000. Put them on a free throw line in front of 20,000, right? And you want to really expose someone's mindset, you'll see it right there.
Put them in Papua New Guinea.
Yeah, put them in Papua New Guinea.
They're going to be dead very
Public
quickly.
speaking, another one where you can really expose somebody's mindset. What kind of mind do you have there? And I think in all of this discussion, like, if nothing else, I hope that you see. I hope you see now what I'm looking at, and I see that this isn't a problem. They're not like screwing themselves. Like they don't like the idea of getting them to want it more or try harder. I think that's the wrong approach. I think you got to somehow find a way to work with that. Like appreciate how much talent and how much they need that when they do their thing, and like maybe when they retire, you have come here, man. I've got to tell you about the real world a little bit, but I think it's so important to be able to work with them, like understand that plays such a big role in their ability to perform and do anything at their genetic maximum, and I just think it's so important. And like again, like I've seen it for years where all of the guys who worked so hard, these are the guys that would get cut. These are the guys that would be live life on the bubble, where they're just like, I don't know if I'm going to be here tomorrow. They might cut me. I don't get in much, but the guys, it never failed. The guys who were just always tough to get them in the weight room, always tough to get them to do their stuff hard. If you, man, you know what you should do? This is great timing. I want everybody to, I don't know where on the internet it's going to be, but somewhere on the internet right now, spring training is about to kick off. I want you all to find a video of one of the teams stretching, and my God, what a learning experience. Well, my first year with the Arizona Diamondbacks, they told me they said, like, you get called up to the big leagues for like 3 days. I mean, really cool experience, especially for a young kid. First thing that we get to work in the major leagues, right? And so I go up there and I'm going to lead stretch, right? And I'm like, oh, this is so cool. They got Paul Goldschmidt and AJ Pollock. I'm like, oh, this is so dope. And so they pull me aside. They're like, hey, by the way, like, nobody's going to listen to you. And I was like, really? And I'm coming from college where I think it's going to be like hardcore and like I'm the man in charge here. Like, yo, by the way, nobody's going to listen to you. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, this is what you do, and do not go away from this. You're going to stand in front of everybody, and you're going to stretch yourself, and you're going to just announce to everybody what you're doing, and that's it. Don't tell anybody to do something different. Just announce what you're doing. So I would be up in front of the team, be fans lined up, and I would be up there like, all right, everybody, we're gonna go right arm across the chest, and we'd have guys like sitting in a circle on the other end, like stretching, like they're just like chatting about their day, like everybody's doing all this different stuff, and it's like same deal. Like if you got called up to the big leagues, you're listening to everything that strength coach says. Arm swings. You're to a T. But the guys who are killing it, they don't care. I had guys like walk out mid-stretch. Like I remember one guy, again, no names. He'd go like this. All right, I've had enough of this. Pick up his bat and walk away. And I'm just like, yo, you said that right to my face. You said that right to my face. And in my head, you know, that's why he is who he is. That's why he can stand in the box. This guy, great home run hitter, like epic home run hitter. He just hit bombs all the time, and he can stand in front of 50,000, stare down the pitcher, and hit the ball. I'm up there like, sweet Jesus, don't hit me, right? Like this guy is humming cheese down the middle. I don't want to get hit. How am I going to hit this? What pitch is he going to throw? And this guy's cool, calm, and collected. And and like that, like I want people to see that. Like everyone always wants to, and maybe it's a product of the fact that our coaches and whatnot never saw it. Never saw an NBA player, or never saw had the good fortune to sit in an NBA weight room and see what that looks like, or an MLB weight room and see what that looks like. And I would be willing to bet I've never been in an NFL weight room, or I'm sure they're the same. I've heard that soccer players don't even like to be in the gym because it feels like they're getting too bulky. So they have to. So like I have a friend of mine who works in soccer, and he's always like, I have to pretend like we're doing warm up stuff, but we're really doing core on the field because they think that's good. They think it's technical, right? And it's like that's what you got to do. You got to work with them because that plays such a big role in what they do. And I want everybody to know that. I want everyone to see what I've seen because it's such a big deal. And I think people are just missing the boat.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
You just summed up everything. Yeah, I mean, like in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah, like there were people who didn't really try as hard.
Yeah.
And like that could really, that's a lot of strain for a person.
It's tough, and when you really want it, you know, you really want it. You're always told you're a kid, you don't know better. You want to listen to them, and you want because I just wanted the path. I wanted to know how to get to the top, and if this coach tells me that's the way to do it because he had X guy on his team, and I'm like, well, I'm going to do it because I trust this guy knows what he's talking about. So you know, in a sense, you're at the mercy of the people that you're around when you're a kid, and that's why being a parent is really important, really scary if you want your kid to be in the NBA, which my kid will be in the NBA. So I got to make sure I'm pressing the right buttons.
No pressure there.
No pressure, but you better do it. You better do it. But like just all of that, it just plays. It's so big. It's so big. What do you guys got? Questions?
One of my questions is about it should be allostasis.
Sure.
So that's like proprioceptive in a way.
So, not quite. Proprioception would lead into allostasis. So allostasis is just kind of how your cells are going to react. Allostasis is going to say that your cells will react in a prediction model. So in a baseball sense, okay, how about this? You go to the bar? You got a girlfriend?
Yeah.
Okay. So when you go to the bar and just say you were single, maybe where'd you meet her?
A brewery.
Perfect. Did you go up and talk to her?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
See, I couldn't have done that.
So you're at the bar.
Courage, baby.
Yeah, you're at the bar, right? And you're sitting there, you're with your boys, you're like, yeah, man, it's gonna be a crazy night, man. We're gonna have so many beers, get some chicks, right? And then you're like, and then you're just like, oh, hello there, right? You like see the girl from across the bar. Is this how it went?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So you're like, okay, I want to go talk to this girl, right? And then you start like, oh, here comes the butterflies, right? Like, oh, here we go, man. Like, what am I gonna say? Well, guys, what should I say? Should I buy her a drink? Should I do? Right? And you know, so I used to watch the Victoria's Secret fashion show every year. It was like a tradition in my family. My brother and my dad would sit down and watch it. It's a great tradition. right. I'm not joking. We really did. And every year, one of the questions they would ask was what's the best pickup line? And the girls would be like, oh my God, you don't have to say anything, just say hi. And I'd be like, yeah, right. Like I got to say something way better than hi, but it's not. Like it's you don't have to say anything. You don't have to say anything different than hi. But but you in your head you're like, I got to think of something smooth. When I was in college, I was always trying to think of like the smooth thing to say. Man, oh my God. I am not sure if I'm friends with this girl on Facebook or not, but if she is, she's watching, she's going to get a real eye-opening experience. I said this girl, I had a huge crush on her in college, and I saw her at a bar one night at WVU, and she had like a it wasn't a napkin, but it was like this like paper thing in her hood. It was the middle of the winter, and I was like, what am I going to say? And my buddy goes, yo, you should go tell her that, hey, what's up? You got some shit in your hood. This great intro. And I was like, yes. That's perfect. You know, it's a little fun. It's a little this, a little that. And so I walked up to her and I go, hey, you got some shit in your hood. And she's like, what? And I was like, oh, that was terrible. That was so bad. It was so bad. But like that's what it is. So like you see her from across the bar, and you're about to go interact, about to say something, and you get a little butterflies, heart rate goes up, but nothing's happened. You haven't done anything. You're just thinking about it. That's allostasis. That's your body reacting to the prediction of what's about to happen. Your body, you know that when you go, you're putting yourself in a vulnerable state, and now your body is reacting to the future stress that it predicts that you're going to have. But the problem is that we often make the wrong decision. Like that's not a dangerous situation. You know, she's not gonna take out an axe and rip your face off if she says no. Like she's just gonna say no and probably walk away, right? In your case, it was great. It worked out. But it's not a dangerous situation, and a lot of times our brain is thinking this situation is dangerous when it's not dangerous at all. Right. And so now all this
from something that doesn't need protection.
Exactly.
But if you've personalized rejection too badly,
yep,
like I used to, once you get that feeling
yep,
in your stomach, that prevents you from approaching, because the fear of rejection, you know you're going to personalize it more,
Yep.
but you don't know what rejection is because you don't understand human dynamics, and you're going to think of it as something wrong with me. So why bother? I'd rather go home single without being rejected
Yep.
than go through the pain of getting rejected. There is a whole industry of pickup for men that is based just on that. How do you teach men to approach women? That's it. Just to approach. It is a huge deal, which women may not understand, unless, oh, they do. When they have to ask guys to dance at a salsa like event, if they're not getting asked and they have to ask themselves, they then realize, and when my students are like, oh, I can't ask the guy. Oh, now you know what it's like for a guy to ask you. Just to say something to you. You're going, and they're like, oh, I never thought about it
Yeah.
like that.
Or there's the guys that are like, it's just a numbers game.
Some
Yeah.
are.
Right?
They're the professional
Well,
athletes.
rejected.
That's right.
Yeah.
Those are the professional
That's why he's
athletes.
not a
It eventually
professional
works. You're
athlete.
like,
Damn it!
someone will say yes.
Yeah, theoretically, I knew that, but I couldn't get past
Well, you
the
don't do
feeling.
numbers.
True.
I actually
But I
had.
understand numbers.
Actually had. How about
But
this?
that's, I couldn't get past the feeling. Other people don't have that feeling, or they feel the feeling. Whatever. I know what it is. Now I'm more like, oh, I know what that feeling is. It's my body trying to protect me from something
Right.
that I realize I don't need protection from. Now I understand that, and I still try to. Sometimes I still have a difficult time getting past that. But you have to bring awareness to what that feeling is first. It's not, it's nothing horrible. And it's not like a reflection of you. It's just a normal bodily feeling. And some people can then identify that and work through it. That's something I've had to keep working on for the past 5-6 years, when I finally realized what these roadblocks were for me. But before, I would just been feeling that feeling and be like, oh, I can't, because I'm gonna get rejected.
No.
Question. For people that aren't in the flow and are more anxious types and aren't like professional athletes,
Right.
how do you, we talked about just letting the flow people do their shit, but the people that don't have that, how do we get into that less stressful state when you're talking about sleep, home life, and you just have an hour with them?
I mean,
Like, what about
you're
those
truly,
people?
truly,
Majority.
you're truly up against a beast there, right? You're up against, however long they've lived, all of the connections that they've made. I mean, you're like I say a lot. You're playing your cards. You're doing the best that you can. I mean, I think first things first is you're going to create an unbelievable environment where you can, when they are there, they feel safe, they feel comfortable, they can get out of that sympathetic state. You've now centered their joints, put them in a better position neurologically, and now you have a lot better access to improvement, to a training window than you would say if like Planet Fitness, kind of a dingy gym, right? So like when I go in there, I'm a little like, I don't care for this. So my senses are telling me that, so if you like something versus you don't dislike something, whether it's dangerous or not, the dislike portion is gonna have the same reaction as if I was being attacked by an elephant, right? In the body, same thing. Why zebras don't get ulcers? It's like chapter 1, and really good book.
What is it called?
Why zebras don't get ulcers.
Is new
Oh,
one
yeah.
Yeah. Behave. Yep. And he's a great writer. I appreciate
It's
his writing a lot.
entertaining, right? It's not dry.
Yeah. So the fact, like if you worked at a Planet Fitness, right? You're like, okay, like this is kind of a dingy place. Like it's not going to really appeal to their senses. They may not like it a lot. But if I go to Lifetime Athletic at Sky on 42nd, that place is freaking awesome. Like, has anybody ever been there?
Yeah.
Bro, I thought about joining it. It's like it would take me forever to get there, but because it's so nice. Like the spa downstairs is like world class. It's so nice. So if I'm there, they're gonna be like, hell yeah, and they're gonna feel a lot more comfortable. It's a safe place. It's a nice place. I don't have to worry about anything. The trainer's nice. I always smell good. I always smells like I feel like I'm well rested. I got my coffee in hand and I'm ready. I'm just ready to go every single time. I'm always pumped to see you. You just feel really comfortable around me. Like those are the things that you can really control to make sure that they have taken that out. I mean, outside of that, how much control will you realistically have over somebody's personal life? Very, very little, and that's where I think I hear this a lot in strength and conditioning. It's all about relationships and building relationships, and that is a really big deal. And in a situation like that, if you have a client that you've worked with for a while and you've developed a relationship, they're really cool, they believe in you, they trust you, they think that you're a smart person, that you're going to lead them down the right path. That's when you can start interjecting and start saying, hey, I think you should start taking cold showers because they provide you with a ton of energy throughout the day, right? Yeah. Or you start saying, hey, you know what? How about this? So one of my baseball players, he was one of our top prospects, and he always came to camp out of shape, right? He was just like overweight, out of shape, and one day they were like, you're such a big prospect that they're like, you got to get on this guy. You got to basically control what he eats. I was like, all right, let me figure this thing out. And he comes up to me, he's like, I heard that you're controlling what I eat. And I was like, yeah. And so we were talking about what it's going to be, and he was under the impression he's going to be eating like kale smoothies for the rest of the season. And my thought was, I was like, yo, what do you eat for breakfast? And he's like, I eat Fruit Loops, 3 bowls of Fruit Loops. I go, all right, let's change it to Honey Nut Cheerios. Right, and it's not that big of a change. He still kind of likes it, maybe not as sugary, but now he starts thinking like, "Yo, Sean's a cool guy. Like he's not going to make me have kale salad for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, so I become skinny." And then eventually I'm like, "Guy, would you can it with the friggin' cereal? And let's make a fruit smoothie." And eventually he because he trusts me, thinks I'm a nice guy. I'm looking out for you, dude. Boom. Now he's much more willing to participate in what I think is right, because he knows it goes back to the whole they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care, right? And I think that's the answer. Then you can just slowly chip away at what you can, like little things that they can do when they leave in order to, and then you just explaining. Education has been a great platform for me to make changes in the people I work with, because now they're thinking about it when they go home, and they ask me, why do we do this weird breathing stuff? I'll be like, because breathing in your back's important. If you can't breathe in your back's gonna hurt, right? So then throughout the day, they just might be like, they don't know what they're doing, but I'm gonna try to breathe in my back a little bit, because I just plant the seed that's important. And education has been just a really, being able to teach them what's going on. I always tell people why they do their exercise. I'm gonna have you do this because of this. And just over time, we're just building that rapport. And when my moment is time, and I can really show them what I can do, really prove to them that I'm a smart guy and a smart professional. That's when your moment's there. You take it, you run with it, and now you have them, and now you can start making those changes. And ultimately, it's going to be tough, because you're just super limited, and to get them, you have to overhaul. If you're dealing with someone who's like 50, you have to overhaul their life. First things first, get them out of New York City. Good luck. Mayor's my new trainer. She told me to move, right? And also bad for business. So you certainly have in this city especially, it's an uphill battle trying to get somebody to do that. But I think it's always important to just have an understanding of what it is, and then you just play your deck. Play the cards that are in front of you, and do the best you can. What do you think, guys? Any other questions?
Okay. Well, specific questions about the body. So you said the diaphragm, piston action.
Yep.
So I say 3-dimensional breathing, right?
Hell yeah.
So posterior, laterally.
Yep.
But so you have to set yourself up before doing anything, right? So a pull-up press.
Yeah.
For an example, so I have to do that, and then I would do the exercise. The
Okay.
pull-up press.
Okay.
Yeah, so my question is that you always have to do that before anything?
You mean prime it?
Position
Yeah,
yourself?
prime it. Yeah, that's what I mean.
No, I don't think so at all. Give me an example that you're thinking of.
Also, the one from Ian, right? Marcon?
Yeah.
Right. So the radiation, right? So that you would take a breath. I was just doing it. You would take a breath. So you would inhale, exhale down with the ribs, and then you just sniff some air on the lower abs, right?
Okay.
Yeah, right. So then you would have to do that. I mean, whatever you teach, you would have to do that always, right? no matter what, even like if you're sitting down.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I mean, I think I'm still a little confused on the questioning.
I'm not asking the right.
I think what you're saying is like you have to like set up to get what you want, right? Is that fair?
Mm-hmm.
And on that note, I mean that's what I do with exercises, right? I always every exercise I give, especially to somebody that I'm working on trying to get to their genetic potential, like if I'm working in the NBA, the exercise. If you saw an NBA or an MLB workout, it is so easy, like so easy. Like this.
I'm curious.
Okay, so this is what somebody would come in. This would be a real workout. 2x10 goblet squat, 2x10 TRX row. Next one, 2x10 Palloff press, 2x10 single leg deadlift, 2x10 dead bugs for the final superset, and then 2x10 bear crawls. Bye.
Bye.
So conservative.
Right.
But
How
it's
long
all
is that
about based
session?
on
No, you remember you still.
Depends on the guy. I mean, if you really want, I would say most sessions probably last a half an hour. If a guy comes in and bangs it out, you'll be in there for 8 minutes. Because it's really quick. And then granted, like this is like an in-season situation, so it's going to be less. But the off-season is not going to be that much longer, not that much different. And this is what it's appreciating. It's appreciating that the weight room doesn't make him a better basketball player. These guys are already at the top of the human performance spectrum. So how much more can I realistically get out of them?
Isn't your job not to mess them up?
Not to mess them up. If it's in season, I can't really put much stress on them. So all of these exercises are really geared towards putting them in a better recovery state. And like really, and it's like I swear to God, like that would be a standard. Like if you walked into Staples Center and we were getting ready to go out on the court, like that's what it is. That's what it is. And yeah, and it's really basic. And like I think most people would be shocked at what goes on at that level. But that's what it is. Like that's all we're doing. And so what I'm doing there is I'm dummy proofing it, right? These guys maybe they don't want to be coached up that much because they don't want to hear it, right? And that's a real thing. A lot of you don't want to be, especially in the beginning, you don't want to be too technical with them. So I put them in a position they can't screw it up. If I give you a single leg squat to the bench, you can't screw it up. You're going to be a little flexed. Ribs are going to be down. You got some weight on you. You're going to get glutes and hamstrings. Can't screw it up. Stable in all my workouts. Single leg deadlift. Give him a 30-pound dumbbell. He's 7'1", so that's an absolutely massive hamstring load. 30-pound dumbbell. Come up. You feel your hamstring? Yup. Sick. Done. Next. Bear crawl. Alternate. Do whatever you want to do down there. Ribs are down. Hip flexors are off. Boom. Done. See ya. TRX row. Go slow on the way down. Decelerators handled. Boom. Done. See ya. Like that's it. We're not deadlifting. I've never programmed a deadlift in my life, ever. Nobody can do it.
What about like trap bar deadlifts?
I don't think you're deadlifting. I think you're squatting when you go into a trap
So
bar.
you're doing all single leg and all flexion.
Yeah, in my case, yes. I would not all like max flexion, but I was always getting not always, but I was always going to try to find as much of it as I possibly can to control. Glutes, hammies, and abs. You name it. It's just every single exercise, every single workout I've ever done. Glutes, hammies, and abs. Glutes, hammies, and abs. Glutes, hammies, and abs. Everything, all day, and that was the deal because I was trying to oppose their extension, expose their sympathetic tone with some parasympathetic resistance. Like that was the deal. So I was dummy proofing everything and making it really easy. So I did not have to. I never cued anybody. It's so interesting. When I worked in the NBA, I never cued anybody, and the guys would just do it. And like when I started seeing some general pop people when I left, I had to cue for the first time because people weren't like elite athletes anymore. They didn't know how to squat. And I'm just, it was crazy. I couldn't, I felt like an idiot. I was like, just squat. And they're like, what? I don't understand. And it was really eye-opening experience for me for the first, I never in my life until like a year ago worked with somebody who was not a professional athlete. And it was just a wild experience for me to see. But with those guys, like I would just sit in the corner like this and I would like chat them up. Like, yo, what do you got this weekend, man? Where are you headed tonight? Yeah, it's crazy, man. Have fun. Like that was it. Oh, you don't hate the song? All right, I'll change it. That was it. That was my coaching. And it was respect to their neural system, respect to their recovery, respect to the exercises that we're going to do, respect to their mindset, respect to what they do, respect to that having an objective opinion that the weight room isn't going to make them any better at playing basketball. Only watching film is probably going to make them a lot better at basketball. Becoming very technically proficient, that's what's going to make them a better basketball player. And that's where I lived. I mean, that was real stuff. That's what my workouts. If you flew through them, man, it'd be like so quick. So quick. I used to do, my brother was a professional baseball player, and we would work out together in the off season. And I did it because like I wanted to just be around, and my brother was the same way. Like it was like he hated when I would coach him up. I'm his brother, you know, and he hated it. So I would always dummy proof his workouts, just easy. And what he would do, I realized what he would do is he would watch me if I was like if like he was doing something like aggressively wrong. And I would like make a real point of it, like doing the exercise when it was my turn right in front of him. So he would see it. And that's how we would listen, right? But he didn't want to be told. So I respect that because he's got to go stand out on the mound at Fenway Park and pitch to the glove against Mike Trout. And I can't get in this. I don't want to dome him up about it. Never talk to him about baseball. I never talked to any NBA player about basketball. Pitchers would come out of the game after getting absolutely hammered, just crushed, like give up 12 runs in one inning, and I'd be like, "Yo, what's up, man?" And like I would never ever say like, "Go get him next time," or you know, "Hey, you know, you did some nice things there." Nothing at all. Never speak bad because I don't trust. I'm not a psychologist. I don't trust that I know it. I don't trust that I'm not going to plant a seed that he'll be thinking about on the mound next time he goes out there. Never touch it. Respect to neurology. You know, he comes in and pitchers come in and say, I just gave up 12 runs and they're supposed to lift. Organizational protocol. You're supposed to lift after you throw. Comes in, he's got 12 runs. Sean, I don't want to lift. Fine, go. I feel you, dog. Go have a beer. Like the respect to what he does. And I think that's where the strength and conditioning industry is so gung-ho on discipline and mental toughness and you got to work hard and do this. And I don't think I think you're all missing the boat. I think every single one of them is just doing everybody that they see a huge disservice because they're preaching something that they shouldn't have to be elite in athletics. Everywhere else in the world, it's helpful, but not in a sports performance arena. Not if you're the CEO of a company. In an entrepreneurial world, you can't be conservative. You have to be a go-getter. You can't be afraid to have a conversation. It's important, and that's the window I want to open up for everyone to see. If you care about getting better, care less. In sports.
I mean, that's like the tricky part too. Is like it's so multifactorial. Where like as a strength and conditioning coach, you can say something 4 or 5 weeks before an event, and all of a sudden, if something stirs that memory back up, after he goes to shit, in that one performance, that's where like your wording, your language has to be so very meticulous, careful that.
I'm always so careful. My brother has played professional baseball since 2012, and I have maybe had 3 conversations with him about baseball since then. Just won't talk about it because I don't trust. I'm his brother. Like we're boys. I don't trust that something I say isn't gonna. You know, he's already told me that he's thought about like the most random shit on the mound. You know, so I don't want to plant. I don't want to plant a seed. I don't want to say anything because I don't want him to think about it when he's on the mound. And like, you know, I remember being on the free throw line when I played and thinking about, you know, how the last game my brother told me that I suck at free throws now. What happened? And now he's up in the stands, and I'm just like,
oh my god.
You know?
My brother used to say when I'm practicing, Eddie, you suck. Shut up.
Yeah.
And I've always had issues singing with people, so now I can blame them.
Done. Screw those guys.
Your game just.
And I think that is a big deal. So planting those seeds and like what you're saying to them, you know, what resonates, what's gonna do it. And you're gonna do it. You're gonna do it. You know, I mean, you can't avoid it. You can't avoid it. Yeah.
But I would say care less.
Doesn't make sense.
The 4 agreements, yo. Have you heard that?
I have heard of
Be
that.
impeccable with your words. Don't take anything personally. Always do your best. Which I don't know. And I forgot the 4th already.
Oh, that's actually really good.
Yeah, the 4 agreements. Yeah.
So caring less is going to make you a happier person.
100%. Hell yeah.
And so like I have a million thoughts on that subject. So when you said, you know, for people to get better at athletics, or they need to care less under certain circumstances.
Sure.
So you always have to wonder what is driving you, even in just professional life, personal relations, whatever in life. Why do you care? Is if there's something that's you're holding on to so strongly, you have to be the best in this, you have to be the best in this, you have to be the best in this. I don't know if those athletes are really even thinking that.
They're not thinking
That's what
anything.
yeah, so the more you think that you have to do something, the more rigid you're going to be. So the question is, why do you think you have to be the best? Or why do you think you have to be this profession? Why do you think you have to do anything in life? Do you ever stop and question why? Most people do not. They just go with, I don't know, what am I have to think about myself? I don't know why I did the things I did. Why did I feel like I had to be, you know, doing a certain job? I thought what I really wanted, which was, I knew I didn't want to be in the business world in a sense. I mean, I am in the business world because you're
Sure.
selling services, but someone said something, or your community said something, or your religion said something, or someone told you along the way that, or you got the idea in your mind that you needed to do something certain to be successful. That's most generally what we're going after in this country, at least, is success. But why do you care? Why do you care? Why do you care?
I think it has a lot to do with, like, you know, people who are like around us, like our parents, for example. Like my mom, you know, my mom and dad always stress, oh, you have to do so well in school, you have to get straight A's, you know, you have to be the best or whatever, you have to do this and do that. And I think it's just,
You have, and the question is why? For what? This is why I'm going over this with my niece. She's probably not watching. Top
hope
high
she
school
is.
in the state of New Jersey, one of the top public high schools, Milburn.
right.
I mean, going insane with AP classes, and I'm the only one saying, why? For what? Where's this? What's the end game here?
Right.
Get a good job. Get a good college. Good job.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Yeah, how much does it matter?
That's the question. No one thinks. People never think 2 questions ahead.
It's the work for the man model. That
Absolutely
works
it
if
is.
she's going to work for the man.
Absolutely.
But it matters not if she's going to do
What's it
that.
going to lead to? The question always is, are you happy? If not, what are you doing it for? Why are you doing this? Well, usually for guys, it's like, well, I'm going to get money. Okay, what's the money for? Girls. Let's be honest.
Sure.
Economic resources. That's the way the world works. Guys want stuff. Guys become rock stars because they want the women. All right. A lot of it is you don't even realize it's going on in the background. A lot of the stuff that you're doing in your life is, testosterone rules, especially as you're a teenager. So the sex drive is a huge deal. That's why Freud was obsessed, maybe too obsessed with the sex drive. But why, you have to really question, like, what is this all for? Are you happy? If not, then why are you doing it? And people really get stuck at that stage. They can't get out of it. They're stuck in a thought about what success means, even though they realize it's not making them happy, and they can't extricate themselves. And they care too much about something that is not leading them to happiness, and that is it's just a fascinating phenomenon to me. Because I was doing the same thing, but I wasn't even successful doing it. I sucked at IT. It wasn't really paying me that much. I good health insurance. But beyond that, I was like, and then my dad died, and finally at 27, I was like, why the hell am I doing this?
Right.
I don't like it. It's stressful as hell. I don't really have any desire to go up the ladder. And so I was like, fine, I quit. And I figured it out from there. But so you always have to ask, like, why, so continue with what your parents would say.
No, I was just saying, like, I think, like, not even just, like, my parents, but I think, like, even, like, people who are trying to make it, and they're like, oh, like, I need to do really well in school.
And what does that mean? What is making it?
It means, like, oh, I'm gonna get into the program, I'm gonna get a good job after.
And what does that mean?
Make money.
And then what does that mean?
Then they're like, oh, I don't know. Like,
there you go.
I don't really have an answer for that. So
that's the point.
Yeah.
There's no. I'm not a religious person, but when I come here, people are like, you go to New York, spend a couple of hours talking to random people about PRI, and you're not getting any money out of this. Why do you do this? And they don't understand that for me, this is like a spiritual thing, like flow. Like,
It really is.
I can do a PRI session that's only supposed to last an hour. I'm 2.5 hours into it, and I don't even realize it. Like, to me, happiness is flow. The more you can get into flow, but you have to like what you're doing to get in flow.
Right.
You have to be competent with what you're doing, obviously, also. But if you love what you're doing, you'll get to the competent stage because it's just you. It's just an extension of what you do naturally. So for me, coming here is like, this is the greatest thing ever. To have when Sean's like, hey, you want to help teach this thing? Yes. Like, I'm going out to freaking in April to PRI Central, and I'm gonna get to follow the orthotic guy around for
Sure.
the lady who was booking me, because I was making an appointment myself. She's like, do you want to follow Dr. Koff around? I'm like, yeah, of course. She's like, oh. Very exuberant reaction, but like, that is what my
You're
worry.
aligned.
That is me. Like, it's not like, that's not an effort for me to do that. That's just what I do naturally. I don't care about anything else. But that wasn't like that for the longest time, but I had to realize that, you know, everything else that I thought success was is not necessarily the truth. If financial success was happiness, then you wouldn't have true Hollywood stories. Why do these people crash and burn nonstop? I grew up in a community that's a lot of wealth. Some of the most dysfunctional families. I mean, everyone has dysfunction, but there was nothing special about being in that instance. I mean, in that situation. Because, I mean, it's not a pathway to happiness. So if it's not making you happy, it just doesn't make sense to me why people persist in. No, I mean, I understand it. Trust me, I understand why. But you have to just question why you're doing these things. It's usually because someone said this is the way it's supposed to be. But you got to challenge that. People have to challenge their thoughts. The more you challenge your thoughts and your assumptions, and just because your parents said it doesn't mean they're saying things correctly either.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, just because your pastor or your priest or your rabbi, whatever it is, said this is what you should do, why? How do they know? They might be just as delusional as someone else. You know, you want to respect your parents, but that doesn't mean your parents are perfect. And like, they might be just following what they were taught.
They are.
Yeah.
They are.
Yeah. I try to be like, they
Yeah,
probably are.
they are.
So, you know, just because someone's older doesn't mean their opinion is worth more than what you're feeling. So to me, it's all about the primacy of feeling. Like, for me, it's like, this feels right or it doesn't feel right. You can very easily use your conscious, rational brain to talk yourself out of extricating yourself from a situation that doesn't feel right. Because, well, no, this is what I have to do. This is what I have to do. No, it'll get better. It'll get better. Well, maybe it won't.
There's dissonance.
Yeah.
It is. And
exactly
so
what it
you
is.
will constantly rationalize and justify things because you're for some reason too afraid to get out of it because of someone's judgments. Usually it's someone's judgment about you, or society's judgment about you, or a community's judgment about
Or
you.
just the norm.
The norm, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I just learned for myself, the more I went against the norm, the happier I was. And eventually I'm like, screw this. I'm done with all this crap. I'm just going to figure it out as I go. And this is what I'm really passionate about, is challenging your assumptions. If it doesn't feel right, if you're miserable waking up every morning, if you're living in the United States and you're middle class, you probably do have choices to make. Like, you're not dirt poor, where you kind of, even then you theoretically have choices, but it's not so easy. But we have choices in this country, and that's one of the great things about this country. You're living in a situation that you do have those choices. And so why would you stay with something that you hate doing? It just doesn't make sense to me.
I think I can answer your question. I heard this from Colonel Nightingale. It's because people conform. People don't really think.
They're not thinking.
And that's why they get in a situation like that, because conformity happens around us all the time.
Absolutely. And that's what you have to challenge. At some point you have to change your thinking. I mean, you're always going to be thinking. You're always going to be thinking one way or another. But you have to, you have to challenge those thoughts. And that's what Buddhism is. I mean, just challenge it. It's looking at your thoughts and not getting wrapped up and noticing what you're feeling, what you're thinking, and realize that those are just thoughts and feelings. And this goes back to in front of 20,000 people.
Yep.
What is that feeling that you're getting? If you get wrapped up in that feeling, it becomes your reality. It's like, oh, I can't do this. But if you identify what those feelings are, it's just a defense mechanism that's left over from 6 million years ago to help you survive. That's all it is. Then you'll probably be okay. So you can overcome those things. So whether I feel these, like if I do a dance performance, 10 years ago, I would want to throw up before that freaking performance. I was like, I don't have any interest in performing ever again because I hate it. And I just did one last summer, and I was like, I felt it, like, whatever. Because I've worked on it, and I realized what it is.
Right.
I freaking choreographed the damn routine. I'm not going to mess it up. I've done it a million freaking times. So you just have to understand what you're feeling, but you have to start questioning and bringing awareness to these things.
Have you ever heard?
And be honest.
Have you ever heard of the paradigm?
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to ask that.
Yeah. So it's just it's effect. So you're caring less. You have to start thinking about how do you start caring less. Well, stop taking yourself so seriously. That's one way. And how do you not take yourself seriously? But if you walk, because we all are the center of the world, right? We're the center of our world, and everything's revolving. So as I'm sitting here,
That's a freaky concept.
you're all organized around me. But to Annie's perspective, we're all organized around her. So you're the center of your world, I'm the center of my world. So who's really the center of the world? Are we that important?
It's me.
Exactly. Yeah, it's him, right? So we all think we're the most important, but we all can't be the most important. So take yourself a little less seriously. That's to some people that's like a very liberating thought, like, oh, I'm not that important, so why do I, everything I do isn't going to impact everybody else. Like me saying, no, I'm not going to go to this event tonight is not going to destroy my friends' lives. Like, I'm taking myself too seriously. Like, I'm not that important. To other people, like, oh my God, I'm not that important.
Sure.
That might be a horrible thought, but that is the truth. So, don't take yourself, don't personalize pain. That is one of or don't personalize failure, whatever failure is. Don't personalize things, essentially. That's a huge deal in caring less.
100%.
Some corporations have group meetings and they're like, where did you fail this week? And they like dig into it as a good thing.
Is it really a
Where did you
failure?
fail?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, where'd you make a mistake? Let's talk about it. That's good.
And how many times have you thought something was the biggest thing in the world and it turned out to be the proverbial blessing in disguise? Happens all the time.
Yep.
But if you get caught up in the moment, it becomes your reality, and now you're a failure. And it's not true. What is failure? People just they don't have an answer. Well, you failed. You didn't win. You didn't do this. Yeah. Well, how is that impacting your life? Okay, so you missed a foul shot. Is that a failure? Well, you didn't win the game. All right, but how else does that matter? People are going to forget about it. You're not that important. So
I'm with you.
don't take yourself too seriously. You can have a big impact on people. Don't get me wrong. I mean, in a good way and in a bad way. So, but just don't take yourself so seriously. Like, not everything you do is life and death.
You just say this in theater. It's not all about you.
It's not all about you. Yeah. So it's just